We've obviously delivered training on Playways for a little while now, while we've been working with Somerset over the holiday activities fund. So this afternoon is going to be based on just giving a bit of a revamp from training through Playways. So I know some of the providers potentially will be completely new to the system. So I will be running through the whole process in terms of creating your account, adding your activities, and then also the parent journey as well. For those of you returning, there aren't too many changes in the platform. There's some new UI that will be going in the next couple of weeks. But as we run through, I'll kind of let you know of any updates. Because we haven't got too many people on the call this afternoon, I'm happy if you have got a question about something to just drop off of, just come off of mute, ask me a question, or just put them in the chat, and I'll leave some time at the end to run back through them as well. So we can leave this quite open. If you've got not quite sure what I've spoken about, or I've gone too quickly, just jump off mute, let me know. But I'll share my screens now and get started. Hopefully you can all now see my screen. Cool, hopefully that's all on your screens as well. For those of you that are brand new, so we're the system you'll be using for your online bookings is Playways. I'm sure you've heard plenty about that anyway. So to start creating your account, you need to go playways.com, and you should be able to find this quite easily. This is our home page, so we've got nice aggressive orange branding, so hopefully if you land on this page you'll recognize it. For those of you that haven't got an account with us, you want to go to the burger menu in the top right hand corner. So you'll see this 3 little lines at the top right hand corner. You can go from here. From those that you're returning can log in, so you can just use your previous details if you've got an account. And for those of you that are getting started with us for the first time, you can press sign up. Okay, I'm just going to log in for the example now, but you can create your account, log in. All you need to create your account is just a name, email address, and set your password. What I would suggest that you do is use an email that is potentially if you've got like an info app for your organization, so you've got an admin email, I'd use that as the email you create an account with, and then you can always give it a more generic name instead of your personal account, because that's what you'll become an administrator in. Okay, you'll see I've logged in. Most of you will be returning, and you'll have your community at the top here. So you'll see that you'll have your community. I'm in a lot of things on Playway, so my homepage is a little bit more hectic than yours, but I'll just run through what this is for everyone. So as a bit of a refresher, this is what we call My Play, and this is essentially people's home in the platform. So you as administrators have this, but also your parents and their child accounts will also have their own My Play page. And what this is just a quick links to everything that they're involved in the platform. So when they go through the booking, so they've gone through the Somerset website, they found your activities they've booked on, their My Play page will start to populate. So on the left hand side there's a feed, so they'll get things like if you post a newsfeed post, they'll receive this here, so any information about bookings for summer. They'll also have a community list, so if they've booked with multiple activity providers, they'll be able to find you nice and quickly, so that's your home page. They'll also then have their activities that they're booked onto, so they'll be able to quickly go and access them. And they'll also have a calendar finally at the bottom of their page, which will include the dates that they've got activities booked onto. So you can see the little red dots appears. This is very standard, same as calendars on your phone. Red dot appears if you've got something on that day, and they can quickly get to that activity if they wanted to manage that as well. For those of you that need to set up your community, so you've just landed here, your page will be blank, but it will have 2 questions. So are you here to search or are you here to organize? What you want to do is press organize. I'm going to just do it from this button at the top here because I haven't got it on my page. So I'm just going to press organize. What you'll then have the option to do is create a community. So I'm just going to press create a community here. So you need to make sure this option is selected. This process essentially is going to set up your homepage on the platform. So this first initial step allows you to create your community, which then you'll add your activities to for the summer period. Okay. Those of you that have already done this, you don't need to worry. You can just click directly into community and go from there. So what you need to then tell the system is a little bit about your organization. So here we'll put organization name. You can fill out this as you go. So you can give a brief description, an email address. So just to be aware, this email address is included then front facing. So your parents will have access to this. It will be included in the confirmation email. So the contact email address is really important. So I definitely probably put an info out in there. You can also use this as your general inquiries email address. So this will be viewable for your parents that are booking on, and also you can use that email to get in contact with you. You can add your general location. So I'm going to put Taunton. You'll be able to add your specific venue activities later when you go through the activity flow, but this is just to give your like range of the location that you operate in. If you operate across the whole of Somerset, you can just put Somerset. The last two options on this page is selecting the type of activity. So you've got a really long option list here and you can start typing. So what I am going to do is just show you, I'm just going to click multi-sports as an example. If you do run lots of different ones, you don't want to set a type of activity as a default, you can just tick the box here. It doesn't matter too much. It just means when you go through and create your activities, you need to select the type of activity that you're setting up. Okay, but we can default if you, for example, if you only run tennis, you can type tennis and all of your activities will be defaulted to the type of activity tennis. Okay, this will be used on when parents, if they search by activity type. So if there is a parent that is looking to book their child onto netball or football specifically, your activities will then show within that list. Okay, so that's what that activity type is doing. And finally, before you go any further, this is optional on the platform, but obviously for our holiday activities and food program, you need to make sure you select Somerset in this network, affiliated organisation. So what this does is it puts you in the right place. So Somerset have a booking form across all of the providers that you that needs to be completed. This is really important for things like booking eligibility. So children that are eligible to book are booking and they've got the right codes. So you need to make sure when you go through this process that you select Somerset Activity and Sports Partnership before you could press create. All right. What that does is it just connects you up and puts you in the right place. So when you then upload your activities, they're being shared in the correct place, but you've also got the correct data being collected in your homepage. Okay, so this is my community homepage. I am going to let you know there are going to be some changes the next time you probably log into this in the next week or so. We are updating. You can see here from immediately the banner image that's automatically selected is a little bit skew width. If I do reposition it, you can see the rest of the image here. But what we're doing is updating this top part of the page. So when you log in maybe like a week or so's time, just be aware that this will be slightly different. All of the information will be the same. The layout is just a little bit smaller, just because the width of the banner image is quite confusing. So just don't panic when you log back in and the just top half of the page looks a little bit different on your community homepage. For those of you that are returning and for those of you who are new, if you want to run through, what I always suggest to get started is to make sure you update any of your details first before continuing. So you can add things like your logo, your banner image, you can update your name if you need to. But what I would suggest first is going to the settings menu. So here, the little blue cog, and pressing the edit. So some of you will notice this is a slightly new page as well when I go into the edit flow here. And you'll be able to update things like your Twitter handles, Facebook, if you've got a website, and if you want to include a contact phone number in here as well. So these pages are slightly new, might look a little bit different since the last time you updated your settings, but I'd urge everyone to log back in, check their contact details are correct, and you can also look at your security settings as well to check their exactly how you'd expect them to be when you create your activity. Okay, and you can just save your updates here. If you do add things like your Twitter, Facebook profiles, they'll appear as icons on your community homepage as well, so parents can get quick links to them as well once the homepage is new, which will be released next week. So once you've kind of done that in terms of getting started, I'll kind of just show you around the rest of the homepage here. So I mentioned uploading your activities. So we have a bookings feature, which we call the activities feature in Playways. This is the feature that you need to use to upload your activities to the platform to take your bookings for summer. I'm going to run through that process now. For those of you that are returning, there are some new buttons in here. So you would have had previous activities in here. So if you press the filters button, if you scroll back, if you click this filter by state, you'll be able to see any hidden activities, but you'll also see any that have been archived as well. So archived is essentially 2 weeks after that activity end date. We put it in an archive for you. It keeps your homepage nice and clean, allows you to do all your registers before we then archive it. So your activities, I promise, are still there. So if you want to go back and take out a description that you've used before because you don't want to retype it, all of that information is still in the platform. So don't worry, we haven't removed anything. All of your activities are still there. They're just in a different list and you just need to be able to filter to them to get them. Okay. What I'm going to do now is run through the process of actually creating an activity. So if I just press create here, for those of you who are new, when you land on this page, what you have access to is our premium feature activities. So you want to make sure this is pre-selected. So you can see I've just created, that's why it's really important at the start that you select Somerset SASP when you go through the create community flow. For anyone that's returning, if this isn't pre-selected, please get in touch with us and let us know, because we need to make sure your community's got the right subscription. So you should always have the premium account selected. So you can press continue from here. So we're now going to go into the activity create flow. So this process is essentially telling the platform the activity about the activity and the dates that it's running. So we'll run through this page step by step. So this first one, we've got a couple of opportunities in the platform to kind of add live stream and on-demand content, but I'm going to focus on physical activity today because we are back in the realms of that, which is really good. So on this first page, you want to make sure physical activity is selected, and then you don't want it to be listed publicly because HAF is a specific program and children need to be eligible to be able to book. You don't want it to go any, you don't want to, we basically can market to other websites through open data. So I'd keep this as no, I don't want to be listed publicly. You'll have a lot of disgruntled parents that can't book otherwise if they find your activity through other websites. You're then going to tell us about the activity that you're running. So here you want to include an image. I remember at the start I selected multi-sports as my default activity type. This will be blank and you'll be asked to complete it if you haven't set one, but you can see the list. You can type in the type of activity and you can change it if it's not quite right for the one that you're setting up. You can upload an image. So this is really nice. So this is really where you're going to start making your activities look really enticing for parents. So add a really nice image that's demonstrative of what you're running throughout the holidays. And then finally adding a title as well. So adding an activity title which is relevant. It might be that you split out your activities in terms of you do your bookings by week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and depending on what dates you're funded for. So it might be that you include that in. This is just for week 1 of the holidays, and you can find information on week 2, 3, 4 in the rest of your community and other activities. But I'm just for now going to do multi-sports week 1 and 2. Okay, you might want to include your organisation name in this, so it's really obvious who you are, and even potentially the venue that you're operating out of. But we don't want to make it too long, but you want to make sure the title's really giving parents the initial information that they need, because you might have parents that are looking for specific providers. On this next page is the description. So this is essentially your opportunity to kind of add that custom element to the platform. So a lot of the fields in this flow that you'll go through is basically telling Playways what it needs to be able to show the right information. But this is your space to basically give parents the really specific information to your activity. So there's obviously start and end times, which will be different for all of you, but it's set in a certain way in the platform. But things like where's best to drop any extra details for drop off, if you've got particular itineraries for the day that you want to share with parents so they have a bit more information about what you're doing, this is where you can add all that really specific activity information that makes your activity different. This is included in the booking confirmations for parents. So when parents go through the flow, they choose the dates with you that they want to book. When they complete their booking, so they've entered their eligible code for their child, they'll get a booking confirmation, and the description is included in that. So any extra information, kind of the equipment they need to bring, or I don't know, you might include like meal options in here as well. All of that information will be sent to them via email. If you do have any parents that say that they haven't received an email, it might be in their junk folder as well. So that's just one to be aware of when parents are asking potentially about booking confirmations. You also have the opportunity on this page to add a video. So if any of you have got any like promotional materials, or you might have a video on YouTube. What's really nice about this is this is then shown on the activity finder. So when parents are potentially booking with you for the first time, they can hit play on your promotional video and get a bit of an understanding and a feel for what your activities look like as well. So it's just that really nice opportunity to kind of share a little bit more about your activity to parents before they book. Okay, so this is the information where we need to start telling the system about your suitability for parents when they're trying to book. So we have some fixed fields in here, so things like difficulty, gender, and a disability list. But the one I'm going to point you towards mainly is the age range. So I know some of you will be delivering to specific ages, but this is just to give parents information before they book that the age that you deliver for. So it might be that you're only delivering for 5 to 8 year olds. So you might just want to put that in here. So just be nice and clear. And this will appear on your activity information before a parent books. So they'll be able to see that actually this activity is most suitable for 5 to 8 year olds. I can mention later a little bit how we can add some extra eligibility around date of birth. But if you're not had any issues with that before, you don't need to worry too much. The last option on this page is if you want to run an interested list. So it's essentially a reserve list. So when your activities get fully booked, you can add a waiting list. So it allows parents to express their interest if a space becomes available. So this is monitored manually, and you can, we are releasing the new option to be able to, as an administrator, be able to add people to your waiting list. I know that before a parent would have to do it themselves, but we are adding that to an administrator's option. But this basically allows you, as soon as your activity reaches capacity, you can then switch this on, and anyone that wants to express their interest to join, they can join your waiting list. So if anyone cancels, and obviously summer being a little bit of a larger period for bookings, it just allows you to give that flexibility where you have people moving around or they book last minute holidays, etc., and cancel their places. Okay. So this next page is the scheduling page. So this is kind of telling the platform now what the dates you're running on. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the summer period is just 5.5 weeks. So I think I've got it from like the 24th of July to the 31st of August or something around there. So you want to start here by telling the platform the duration of your activity. So what this will do is it will work off the start time that you set a little bit later on in this page, and then it will set that from the duration. So if you set 4 hours, it will work out 4 hours from your start date, and then it will give you an end time on your activities. Okay, so you can put your duration. It might be that you do 5, or I can't fully remember rules around that, but I know that average across most areas is 4 hours of activity. The next option on this page is the organizer role. So some of you may have used this before. So as if you're operating out of multiple venues, you might have team leaders or coaches that work at specific venues. So they manage your registration process and marking your registers and actually confirming who's attending. You can, within the platform, give them administration access. So if you do have 3 venues, you can have 3 different organizers that are leading for that activity, and that would give them access to the data that's in the platform for only their activity, but also the ability to mark attendance as well. So if you did want to share out some of the delegate some of the workload to your leaders, you can do that with that organizer role within activities. Okay, it defaults to the person that's creating the activity, so you can see this is my account for now, but I can search for anyone else that's in my community. You'll then want to set a limit on the number of spaces you've been funded for. So it might be that you're funded for 15 spaces across all of your days. So I know for every 4 hours of delivery, I have 15 spaces. So you always want that to be your maximum number that you can deliver for. You'll then need to confirm the venue. So I'm doing multi-sports. I'm not going to go through the process now, but you can add a new venue. You can search for existing venues on Playway. So someone might have already created where you operate out of. If it's a sports centre or community centre, it might already be on the platform. But you can also add new venues if it's not already there. So you have got the process to go through if you do want to add a particular venue if you can't find it. And then before you add your schedule, you have the opportunity to set when your bookings open and close. I'm going to focus on the closed booking ones. I think all activities will go live on a certain day. So we'll hide your activities so you don't worry about the open. But closed bookings basically allows you to lock your bookings potentially 1 or 2 days before the activity actually takes place. This just because the booking system is live, if you don't do that, your bookings could change by the evening that you look at it when you wake up in the morning if you don't close it. We leave activities open unless you tell the platform that it needs to be closed. By closing it 1 or 2 days before, you obviously want to leave it open as long as possible to make sure you get your bookings full. And the idea for then is it allows you to kind of take stock, make sure you've got enough members of staff for that day, and also make sure your food and everything is on target with the numbers that you've actually got booked on. So it might be that you close bookings 1 or 2 days ahead of time. Okay. For some of you that have used our scheduler before, this might look a little bit different to previous. So what we've tried to do is just make this a little bit more flexible. Working with the Holiday Activities and Food programme, we've realised that your dates can be ad hoc in terms of what you get funded for. So you could be running on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then have a random Thursday and Friday afternoon activity. So what we've tried to do is build that flexibility into our scheduler as well, from being fairly rigid. So what I am going to do as my example is I'm going to say that I'm running on a Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday through throughout the whole of the summer period, and then I'm going to put a random Friday activity in there as well. So hopefully that'll give you a feel for how the scheduler works. We have lots of useful help online as well, so when you're actually creating your activity, you can get to our knowledge base from here. And if you're not sure, you can always get in contact with support@playways.com, and you can let us know the dates that you're trying to set up, and we can have a look and help you through your scheduler as well if you're not, if you can't quite grasp it. Okay, so I'm going to start my dates from the Monday, the 24th of July. All of my activities start at 10 o'clock. I want to repeat this weekly because I know I'm going to operate across the summer period. I know that I'm delivering on a Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. So these going blue is essentially telling the system that I only want activity days to appear on a Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday within the schedule that I'm about to create. And I want this to finish on the 31st of August. So if I find my end date, here it is. So what that's telling the system is between the 24th of the 7th and the 31st of the 8th, I only want Monday, Tuesdays and Wednesday sessions to appear from 10 o'clock for the 4-hour duration. Okay, so I'm not going to have any activity days on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday that will be created. I mentioned I was going to add that random Friday. So this is me adding the random Friday. So if you do have a couple of ad hoc activity days, you can just press add more dates. And then what you can do in here is just add those to your schedule as well. So I'm going to add in Friday the 11th, not repeating because that's just happening once. And then I'm also going to do what date do we finish on? We'll do Friday the 1st as well. Okay, so it just gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of adding, removing days, and you can add basically a little bit more activity days that don't necessarily fit a repeating schedule. Okay, has anyone got any questions on that so far? Or I might be hit with radio silence now, but hopefully that's making some sense to people. Cool. Okay, I'll carry on. So this page looks slightly different to before. So you'll remember, those of you that are returning to the platform, that this would have had a booking form attached to it that asks you not to remove it. So what we've done some work over the Easter period while you guys have not been using the platform, and we've released the concept of forms. So this page now can be used for you to add your own eligibility. So for example, I'm going to give the age range example. If you guys wanted to collect or make sure participants of your activity are between certain ages, this is where you do that from. So at the moment, you don't need to do anything with data collection. It's automatically being collected by being in the Somerset network. So you don't need to worry about that. All of that's been set for you. But if you did want to create a new form, you can add your own age eligibility. So what I'm going to do is just show you quickly here. So I can press create new form. And this basically just allows you to add your age range here. So I'm just going to do age range 5 to 8 years. Okay, so that's going to be the name of my form, so I know what it is when I select it, because I might want to use it again. And then you can see the date of birth field here. You can add a rule to it and go, I would like the date of birth to be before. I'm not going to fully work out the dates off the top of my head now. And then after, let's go 01. Okay, so you can set your eligibility here for your date of birth rules. Okay, so I'm just going to submit this one now, and then at the bottom of this you can save that form, and then I can return to the previous page, and what it will do in my activity form, it will go, right, here's your form. This basically is now telling the system that anyone that books this activity needs to, as well as complete the holiday activity and school information, the holiday activities and food information that Somerset are asking for, they also need to meet the age range as well. So you've added that, and that's just confirming that for this activity. For those of you that aren't worried about that and haven't used the activity age ranges before, you can leave this section as no form. If you're not sure and want to get in contact with us because you'd like to explore potentially having date ranges when you get to here, please just get in contact with us. We'd be happy to help with setting this up. The next page you don't need to worry about, not taking any payments, so you continue past here. We do have QR codes on the platform, so this is up to you whether you want to use them. This is purely for tracking attendance of your activity, so you can scan QR codes and mark them as attended. So I'll show you that in the register later on. I'm not going to set this one up now, but it'll just make that transition of marking your registers a little bit quicker if you do have QR codes set. So the penultimate page here is around notifications. So the platform does send some emails for you. So I mentioned earlier that when a parent confirms their booking, they get automatically sent a booking confirmation, as long as they've spelt their email just correctly. It should be there, or it might be in their junk mail. We also send booking reminders, so especially with the summer period, it'll be really useful to these booking reminders to go out maybe a few more days in advance. So the one I'd suggest updating is the booking reminders. So actually 3 days before the activity, I want to send the parents an email. The booking reminder looks very similar to the booking confirmation. It's just essentially, don't forget you've got this activity coming up for your child. Here's the information, and here's if you need to manage your booking. Okay, so that automatically gets sent by this platform. And then finally in here, you also have the option to remind your organisers. So if you are operating out of multiple venues and you do have a couple different organisers and you just want to remind them that they need to track attendance, so they've done their registers on the day, but they need to add that to the platform and confirm who's actually attended, this can give them a notification to remind them as well. The final page here is around promoting into the right place. So this is just to confirm that you're happy for your activity to go onto the Somerset activity finder. So we'll tick that. When you press finish, so your activity should then load on your home page. I'm going to then jump into my one that I made earlier, just so I can show an example for the booking form for you. Okay, hopefully my screens followed. So your activity will look a little bit like this. So you'll have your activity days along the top. You'll be able to check that your series comes here. So the first thing you want to do when you land here is probably check that your dates are correct. So you'd be able to check that you've got your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and your 2 random Fridays. And you can just scroll along with the bar at the top if you have got lots of days. This one's a continuous session just because it's a demo one, but you can check that your activity is doing the right thing. For example, if you did want to update your activity and change anything before you get started, so now you know that if I go to one that hasn't got any bookings on, let's go to the Thursday the 22nd here. So if I know that I wanted to update my places across all of my activity days, I can use the settings cog here and press edit. When you edit this activity, you'll see here that this looks really similar to the create flow. You can come back here, change your schedule. We have got some just to note that if you have any bookings and then you change the schedule, you could well affect what your bookings look like. We won't ever remove days that have bookings on. So just be aware that if you're making changes post, so it's always better to check your activity when you've set it up. But you can, of course, update the number of participants as well without editing your schedule. So if you do want to update your subscription, add a link to a video, you can do all of that via the edit menu on your activities. You'll also see here, as I've been clicking around, that when I select individual days, that the dates have changed. So you can select individual days and you'll see that there's an admin bar for each individual day. So when the calendar goes black at the top, you can see that I've selected Monday, the 26th of June. You can edit individual days as well. So if I press edit this activity, you'll notice the difference now that this is a reduced edit menu. You can change the organizer for specific days or the number of participants for specific days. Okay, so you can make some small amendments to individual days on the platform as well if you need to. I'm just going to do a little pre-warning because I know it happens every time we go live. There are delete buttons and remove date buttons in here. If you press delete, we do have a pop-up. If you delete this, it deletes the whole of your activity. Okay, so just one to be aware of. If you do press delete, it will delete your whole activity from the platform. You do have the option to remove individual days. So let's example Monday, the 3rd of July. If I press remove date here, actually, let's do one that doesn't have a booking on. Let's find one. Here we go. Monday, the 26th of June. If I do press remove date, it will have another pop-up. It can't be undone. We can't retrieve this for you. So just be really careful if you are removing things from the platform. And when that's then removed from the platform, it will then no longer show and reload. So you can see that the 26th has now gone and I won't be able to get it back. Okay. So that's just general kind of once you've created your activity, how you can edit and how you can also manage. What I'm now going to jump into is the register and how to manage your bookings, and then we'll have a little bit look through the flow for parents. So when I press open register, you'll be able to see anyone that's booked onto your activity. What you do get in here is a status. So I added myself manually instead of going through the booking process here. So you can see the status. So this would normally say booked. You can see their booking date and time. You can also see some other information here in terms of when they cancelled as well. What you'll also have, so this is my demo community, you'll also have in here all of your emergency contact information, any directory requirements, and you can export this as well. So you can change the order to name order, so that'll put it in alphabetical order, and then you can export it. So if you did need to, if you're in a remote location and you do need to download your registers, you can export it from the platform and then do those on the day. Okay, so you should be able to, and that you can get that from every individual day that you've got. In terms of managing your bookings, so let's say my activity is tomorrow, but I'll manage the bookings now. So I'm ready to mark attendance for those that have actually turned up to my activity. It's a simple tick box. You can do this on your phones or via the app as well. So if you do want, if you have got leads, you can do this online. Nice and quickly, you can just tick all the people that have attended. You can put this in name order as well, so you can match it up to your register, and then you simply just click attended, and it will move those selected participants into the attended list of your activity. Okay, so you can see here now when it reloads on the attended page, I've moved from booked into attended. Okay. In terms of just being able to track this, we also have, so I know some of you won't want to individually click into every single day to see how many bookings you've got. We do have an activities dashboard, so it's along the top of your community. You'll see the word activity. So if you click into that, so I'm just going to open this now. What this does is it basically gives you an overview of all of your activities that you've set up in the platform. So what you can see on this activities page is you can filter by the next set amount of days. So you might want to do the next week. So this just reduces my selection a little bit. You can also filter by your organisers. So if you've got multiple organisers set up. So you'll see a brief description of your activity, so the name, the date and time that it's running on, and the venue, but you can also see the number of spaces and number of spaces still available. So this is really nice for you to be able to track as admins, actually, where am I missing days? Do I need to do some promotion on my own social media to make sure I fill up on X, Y, and Z date? Okay, so hopefully this page then becomes really useful for you as an admin to be able to just quickly see what your progress is with your bookings. On the activities dashboard, you also have the opportunity to look at your bookings progress. Okay, so I'm just going to remove this on here so you can see this. So it's on the report on. If you select the little drop down, you can select bookings. This is a really useful dashboard if, for example, a parent calls you and goes, I can't remember what I've booked. You can type their child's name into the participant search, and if they have booked, they'll appear here for you, and you'll have all that extra information about them as well. If you click on their name, their profile will appear, so you'll be able to see any extra information. You can also see, obviously, the activity name and then what time they booked as well. And their status. So hopefully this page is then really useful for you to be able to give answers to your parents really quickly if they've got questions, but also for you to just see the number of bookings you've had a really bird's eye view instead of clicking into each individual day. The final page I wanted to show you in terms of your administration and management is that you also have a reporting dashboard. So if you click the reporting dashboard at the top of your venue, top of your community, sorry, everything that's in the platform and in your community, you have access to download and export. So if you did want to track your bookings and attendances or cancellations, you can do that from here, and you can export it all. It's all in Excel, so you can take that out. And if you do want to keep your own records over delivery periods, you can take that from here. You've also got a members report in here. So if you did want to send out any communications when the activities go live and go, right, my activity is now on the platform, you can book them from this date. Here's the links to go get started. You can use the members section. We do also have a news feed post, which anyone who's already a member of your community, you can send messages to them, and depending on their preferences they set up when they create their account, they'll obviously receive that via an email, or they'll see it when they log into their pages that your activities are on the platform. Okay. What I want to run through now is the booking flow for parents. So obviously I've spoken a lot about your management, but I wanted to give you an idea of what it looks like for a parent when they're going through this process. So they'll go to the Somerset website to find their activities. The activity finder is currently hidden, and trust me, they are already asking about when activities are going to go live. They're sending that through to us already. So they're keen to see your activities. What you want to do when you when parents land here, they'll obviously search via their location, and they'll hit to open your activity and then press book. The display is very similar to what the activities page looked like. So when the dates will show, they'll be able to see a video. If you've uploaded it, they'll be able to see a description. They won't be able to see the admin bar. That's just my account. And when they press book, they'll be taken to a page to then log in. So from the activity finder, this will be a login page. I'm already logged in, so slightly skipping that step. They'll then get a summary of your activity. So that description will appear, your image, and also the account that they're in as well. When they press continue, they'll have the options here for those of them that booked before. They can obviously select their child accounts that they book with. So that's the idea here, is that a parent creates their account and then they attach their child account. So ideally, when parents come here, they add a new or child account if they haven't got them, and then they go through that process. So I'm going to stay in my Playways account for now because it'll move me out of showing you the rest of the demo. But what they'll do here is just say, for example, I've clicked my child Playways account. So that's then taking me to address these bookings against that account. What's slightly different from before is that parents have the opportunity to update their information now as well. So they can actually, if they are eligible, they want to edit their information, they can edit their phone number, and then they can continue through the flow. Okay, so for Somerset, the booking form looks a little bit like this. So this is just a preview of what it looks like. So enter the code, name, number, emergency contact details, and all of this will be saved if they've completed it before. So parents will only have to update their booking codes for summer. So that's one thing to be aware of, is that the booking codes for summer are new. So if you're having parents that are struggling to book, it's because they need to make sure their code is up to date. Okay, so that's what their page will look like here. When they then press continue, so they're eligible, they've entered their code, they'll then continue to the next step in terms of selecting the dates that they want to be able to book on. So this is a process then where they'll just select the days that you've got available and the ones that they want to book. The next page here is a summary of those. So actually I've selected the Tuesday the 20th, Thursday 22nd, and Thursday the 6th. And then when I complete that process, it'll give me a little confirmation message. At that point, I should then get an email on my phone very shortly that will probably ding next to me. And then from here, if I've got another child I want to book on, I can press book another and they can go through that process again. Okay. The real nice thing for the parents is that once they've completed that booking flow once, obviously all of that data is then completed, so that if they do book with a different activity provider, their information is still saved on the platform. So it's really easy for parents to go, instead of all of your booking forms do collect the same information normally, but they all look a little bit different, or they have multiple ways of, you obviously all use your own systems anyway, but the nicety of using Playways for this is that parents can just have one account and the process is exactly the same for every provider that they book onto. So if they're doing surfing one day, but then want to go to outdoor adventures the next day, it's exactly the same sign-up process, which makes it really easy for them to understand. From their booking confirmation, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. So from their booking confirmation, parents will also be able to manage their bookings. So we've done a little bit of an update in there that includes a link to take them directly. So if they do need to cancel, or if they do need to get in touch with you, all of that information is in their booking confirmation. Okay, so parents can actually manage their booking online. So if they do call you because they want to cancel, you can tell them that they can log in and do it themselves. Depends how friendly and how helpful you want to be in terms of that. They do have all the tools. If they've created and booked their account, they can manage their bookings online as well. Okay. I'm going to take a pause there in terms of me talking, because I know that's a lot of information. What I wanted to do now is probably spend the next, well, up to you guys in terms of questions. I know there might be some new providers here, but this is essentially a time for you guys to ask questions. If you're not sure about something on the schedule, if you have anything specific about uploading your activities to the platform. Some of you might have just had a complete refresher because you haven't looked at it since Easter and you've blocked out since then, and then now you're ready to go for summer. So hopefully it's just a useful get back to the platform and get started. So yeah, I'm free now if people want to come off of mute, ask questions, or if you don't want to come off of mute, you can put your question in the chat.
Thanks, Emma. Once again, we did record it, so if there were some bits on there you wanted just to go back over again, we'll send that out again. Are there any questions from anyone?
Well, I've bamboozled everyone with 40 minutes of talking straight, so hopefully not.
I think you might have set the new world record for a number of words.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think this is my fourth demo this week, and I'm only on Wednesday afternoon, so I think I can actually do this with my eyes shut now. I'm just one of those ones. What have we got here? Our bookings are for a week rather than daily. Can you go through the drop, please, on the schedule? Lauren, with this one, so do you mean that all of your participants need to attend the whole week, or do you just mean that you've got a Monday to Friday? I'm just going to pull up.
Yes, they attend the whole week.
Okay. Right. 1 second. So you've got two options. So if they do book on with you and have to attend the whole week, I'll just open up the create for block bookings now. Sorry, I'm just going to fill in this page quickly so I can get to the page that I want to show you. Right, let me reshare my screen. Hopefully you can see this now. So I've just I'm on the scheduling page and blocks. So these are specifically, there are some limitations in blocks in terms of things like tracking attendance. So if you do want more flexibility in terms of marking when people have been at the activity, I definitely point you towards using the repeating schedule. Blocks allow you to basically set up well, as you've said, essentially everyone who's attending your activity has to attend all day. So it's more of like if you were having like a residential, or if you've got like a progressive activity schedule that's going on. So actually you need to be on day 1 to be able to go to day 2 and so on. Okay, what you can do here is essentially you want to individually add your activity days first. So if you know you're delivering for 1 week, I'd start with I'll just use as in next week as an example. So this is one of the slightly different looking schedulers. You can put your duration in here and add your venue. When you press add activity, so what you're doing here first is you're creating the days in your block. So you want to individually add the week. So you can see here you'd add those days first. And where did I get to? The 22nd. So we'll just do through to the 22nd, and then you'd basically confirm whether you just want one of those. So if you're only delivering for 1 week, you only want one block, you don't want to repeat it, you then just do as you would do in repeating activities. It's for 10 people, it closes 2 days before the block starts. But then if you are running this multiple weeks, you can repeat it, and then you can say when are you repeating it till. Okay, so for blocks you do it slightly differently. You add your individual days, and you can only add individual days, and then you can create repeat that block if you need to. Does that make sense, Lauren? So you add the individual days first to your block, and then you can repeat it if you need to, but it sounds like you've only got that 1 week. No problem, no problem. Has anyone else got any questions? I'd be more than happy to give you guys 15 minutes back, because I know you've joined us over lunchtime and probably got 100 other things to do this afternoon. But if anyone does have any questions, do you want to jump off mute? I don't know if that might be our only one, Nancy.
Might be our only one, yeah, I think so. Well, they can obviously ask if they're what do you call it, your knowledge bank?
Yeah, knowledge base. And if you need us, we're in the end of an email, so we've got support@playrace.com as an email. So if you've missed anything or you're not quite sure, I've just put the email into the chat there for you. I do think we're running a drop-in session as well, so I, for the life of me, can't find it in my diary now. I think it's on Tuesday the 20th. 10 till 11. I believe Kevin might have sent out some information about that. But if you did want to try doing your setup, and then if you do go, oh goodness, I've forgotten how to do this, you can then drop into that. I think we've got like an hour window where you can just come in and ask any questions. So if you did want to get started, you can then drop in then to see us if you need us more.
That's great. Thank you, Emma. I will stop the recording.
No problem. Thanks, everyone. I hope